Humanity was almost enslaved and extinguished that fateful day, but it was never in our nature to submit. I saw it all, from the first shots fired to the final alien scum falling dead at my feet. The Norcadian invasion of Earth was the crucible that forged a new future for mankind, one where we would become the most feared force in the galaxy. It's been 50 years now since Xanth's scout ship crashed in the Mojave Desert on First Contact Day. I was just 25 then, an Army Ranger on the team guarding that alien bastard at a black site. Little did we know, the Norcadian Empire had quietly watched Earth for decades, coveting our planet's bounty and dreaming of conquest. Xanth, their top spy, was the vanguard for a massive alien invasion fleet poised to strike. Failure wasn't an option for us. We grilled that alien freak night and day, racing to pry Norcadian secrets from Xanth's twisted mind and his battered ship. Every scrap of intel we scraped together could make the difference between humanity's survival or extinction when the Norcadian armada arrived. And it would arrive, that was certain. Xanth sensed our desperation. The more we learned, the more that devious alien resisted, tight-lipped and defiant. Restraints tightened, tempers boiled, tactics turned brutal. Each escape attempt proved Xanth would sooner die than betray his sadistic empire. We couldn't let that happen. Looking back, I can still see the dread on the scientists' faces and feel the suffocating fear gripping that base. In that pressure cooker, we did things to Xanth that still haunt my conscience to this day. His howls from unspeakable human methods still echo in my dreams. But we had to break him. Earth itself was at stake. The revelation of Xanth's capture and the looming Norcadian invasion sent shockwaves across the globe. There was no more hiding from the truth of what was coming. Governments scrambled to prepare for war. The U.S. president addressed the nation in a grim primetime speech, laying bare the stakes for all humanity. Russia and China set aside their rivalries and pooled their military might with America and Europe. The best scientific minds on Earth gathered at secret defense facilities, poring over every scrap of Norcadian tech we had scraped from Xanth's ship. Then a breakthrough. A brilliant young Japanese-American physicist, Dr. Elias Nakamura, cracked the code of the Norcadians' advanced weaponry. Elias was a prodigy, top of his class at MIT at just 16. Now only 22, he had unlocked the secret to defeating mankind's first alien foe. "It's their fuel," Elias told a room full of stunned Joint Chiefs at an emergency Pentagon briefing. "The Norcadians' weapons and engines run on an exotic matter only found in their star system. By studying Xanth's damaged ship and the energy signatures of his weapons, I've created a device that can destabilize their fuel on a molecular level. With this equipped, a small human force could infiltrate and cripple their ships and weapons from the inside." The Pentagon wasted no time acting on Dr. Nakamura's discovery. They quickly assembled the Earth Defense Initiative, the EDI. A few of the best soldiers on the planet were brought in: Navy SEALs, Delta Force, British SAS, Russian Spetsnaz, and more. Only a dozen of us were chosen, and somehow I made the cut. We trained harder than ever before to prepare for our secret mission, drilling endlessly with Dr. Nakamura's prototype disruptor device. During this time, Xanth's demeanor began to change. After months of interrogation and the crushing news of Earth's rapid militarization, his resistance started to crack. One night, after a particularly intense session, he looked at me differently. "Your species, you continue to surprise me," Xanth said. "Such tenacity and resourcefulness for a foe so outmatched. If your species survives the coming war, the Norcadian Empire may come to regret this conquest." A compliment from Xanth? Maybe the alien was going soft or crazy. I pressed him harder. "If you're so impressed, why not help us kick your buddies' asses when they get here?" Xanth's face darkened. He leaned close, his putrid breath burning my nostrils. "There are some among my kind who believe attacking Earth is folly, that humans should not be underestimated. Perhaps in time your species may even prove a valuable ally to the Empire. But such talk is treasonous. None would dare defy the Emperor's will." I recoiled at this revelation. Dissent among the Norcadians? A schism we could potentially exploit? As much as I distrusted Xanth, his words burrowed into my brain. I brought this intel to my EDI squadmates. Could we really find allies among the Norcadian ranks? It was a mind-bending thought. But as we shipped off on our first mission, we all knew one thing for certain. When the Norcadian fleet arrived, we'd be ready for them. The day we had dreaded finally arrived. Alarms blared across the globe as the Norcadian invasion fleet entered Earth's orbit. Massive alien ships blotted out the sun, each a sprawling metal city bristling with devastating weaponry. The bombardment began without warning or mercy. Pillars of smoke and fire erupted from the ruins of New York, Moscow, Tokyo. Every major city became a charred crater within hours. Millions were vaporized in their homes and on the streets. The rest were left to dig through the rubble, choking on the ashes of the dead. Our militaries hit back with everything we had, but it was like throwing pebbles at a pack of rabid rhinos. We were hopelessly, laughably outgunned. But we had an ace up our sleeve. In the chaos, our team geared up in secret. I gripped my disruptor device like a holy relic, praying to any god that would listen that Nakamura's genius would save our hides. We boarded a stealth shuttle and slipped through the carnage toward the nearest command ship. Shaped like a great obsidian spearhead, it dwarfed our little vessel as we approached its hull. Breaching into that metal beast was like diving into the maw of hell itself. Strange angles and alien glyphs covered every surface, bathed in unnatural crimson light. The air stank of ozone and death. We had barely gotten our bearings when the real welcoming party arrived. A pack of snarling Norcadian soldiers stomped into the airlock, all gnashing fangs and crackling energy blades. Towering reptilian brutes, each one built like a scaly tank and twice as mean. Their eyes burned with hate as they charged us, bellowing war cries in their guttural tongue. We opened fire, bullets pinging uselessly off their armored hides. Private Johnson took an energy bolt to the face, his skull sizzling like a rack of ribs. Sarge lost an arm at the elbow, still firing his sidearm as he bled out. One by one my squad fell, their screams drowned out by the clamor of battle. But we gave as good as we got. I rammed my disruptor into a Norcadian's neck and squeezed the trigger, feeling savage glee as it convulsed and crumpled. We leapfrogged down the twisting corridors, leaving a trail of twitching alien corpses in our wake. Each loss was a comrade avenged, a few more seconds bought for Earth. After an eternity of blood and terror, we finally reached the heart of the beast, the central control room. And there, waiting for us atop a raised dais, was the biggest lizard I'd ever seen. He had to be pushing 8 feet tall, with biceps like tree trunks and a face like a carved slab of granite. His eyes, though, they held a cunning that chilled my blood. "I am Commander Krax," he rumbled in perfect English, "leader of the rebels who would see the Emperor fall." I kept my rifle trained on his scaly head, finger itching on the trigger. This had to be a trick, some sick Norcadian mind game, but Krax just spread his clawed hands in an almost human gesture of surrender. "I understand your reluctance to trust," he continued. "But know this, we share a common enemy. The Emperor is a tyrant, bent on subjugating or destroying all in his path. Earth is but one conquest of many. My rebels seek to end his reign of terror and forge a new path for our species, one of cooperation, not destruction." My head swam as I tried to process his words. An alliance with the Norcadians. It was unthinkable, insane. But what choice did we have? Earth was burning. Billions were dead or dying, and we were out of options. I lowered my weapon a fraction, meeting Krax's piercing gaze. The fate of our world hung in the balance. Trust our alien invaders, or go down fighting to the last man. Looking to my battered squad, I saw the same question etched on their blood-streaked faces. The seconds ticked by, heavy with the weight of the future. Finally, I made the call that would change the course of history. I looked Commander Krax dead in the eye, my grip tightening on my rifle as I weighed his offer. An alliance with the Norcadian rebels? It went against every instinct I had. But what choice did we have? Earth was on the brink of annihilation. Our only hope was to cut the head off the snake. Take out the Norcadian flagship and throw their fleet into chaos. All right, Krax, I said through gritted teeth. We'll do this your way, but if you double-cross us, I'll personally put a bullet between your eyes. Krax just nodded, his reptilian face unreadable. Understood, human. Now let us plan our assault. The next few hours passed in a blur of strategy and preparation. Krax and his rebels knew the flagship inside and out, its weaknesses, its security protocols, the best infiltration points. Together, we hatched a daring plan to hijack a Norcadian shuttle and slip aboard the massive vessel undetected. As we boarded the stolen craft, I couldn't help but marvel at the absurdity of it all. Here we were, a ragtag band of humans and rebel aliens, about to launch a suicide mission against the most powerful warship in the galaxy. But what else could we do? The fate of Earth, of our entire species, hung in the balance. The journey to the flagship was tense and silent. We all knew the odds of success were slim, but we were ready to die trying. As we approached the behemoth ship, its sheer scale took my breath away. It was like a floating city, bristling with weapons and teeming with enemy troops. Our stolen shuttle docked without incident, the rebel codes Krax provided granting us access, but the moment we stepped aboard, all hell broke loose. Alarms blared, and energy bolts filled the air as the flagship's security forces swarmed to meet us. We fought like demons, humans and Norcadians side by side, pushing deeper into the ship's labyrinthine corridors. Krax was a force of nature, his massive frame shrugging off enemy fire as he cut a path forward with his crackling energy blade. I was right beside him, firing until my rifle ran dry, then switching to my sidearm and combat knife. The ship's defenses were formidable. Auto turrets, energy barriers, even hulking war robots that shrugged off our weapons like raindrops. We lost good soldiers at every turn, human and Norcadian alike. Each death was a comrade lost, a reminder of the impossible odds we faced. But still we pushed on, driven by desperation and raw fury. Finally, battered and bleeding, we reached the bridge. Krax kicked the blast doors open, revealing the final obstacle in our path, Admiral Zargon himself. The towering Norcadian stood at the center of the room, an ornate energy rifle in his claws. His eyes blazed with contempt as he saw us. "Traitors and primates," Zargon spat. "You dare challenge the might of the Norcadian Empire?" Krax stepped forward, his own weapon humming to life. "Your reign ends today, Zargon. The old ways die here." Zargon's answer was a blast from his rifle that vaporized two rebels where they stood, and then the bridge erupted into chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed the chamber, consoles exploding in showers of sparks. I saw Krax charge Zargon, their blades clashing in a storm of light. I rushed to join the fray, but a glancing shot from Zargon's rifle sent me sprawling. The world spun as I tried to stand, my nerves on fire. Through blurred vision, I saw Zargon standing over Krax, the rebel leader's weapon shattered at his feet. "Now you die, traitor!" Zargon snarled, leveling his rifle at Krax's head. I don't remember consciously deciding to act. One moment I was struggling to rise. The next I was tackling Zargon with every ounce of strength I had left. We hit the deck hard, the Admiral's rifle skittering away. Zargon was strong, far stronger than any human. But he was injured too, and I had a lifetime of ranger training fueling my blows. We grappled like savages, rolling across the floor in a tangle of limbs and blood. I felt bones crack and flesh tear. Somehow through the red haze of pain and fury, I ended up on top of Zargon. My hands found his throat and squeezed with all my might, choking the life from him. The Norcadian thrashed beneath me, clawing at my arms, my face. But I held on, even as the edges of my vision darkened. Zargon's struggles weakened, then stilled. It was over. I slumped off him, every nerve screaming in agony. Around me the battle still raged. But with Zargon dead, the flagship was ours. Earth had a fighting chance. But our victory was short-lived. As the rebel-controlled flagship broadcast our message of surrender to the invasion fleet, the unthinkable happened. The remaining loyalist ships, those still fanatically devoted to the Emperor, turned their weapons on Earth itself. They unleashed a devastating barrage of orbital bombardment, hell-bent on destroying the planet, rather than letting it fall into human and rebel hands. I watched in gut-wrenching horror as the world below was consumed by fire. Massive energy beams rained down from the Loyalist ships, vaporizing entire cities in seconds. New York, London, Tokyo, all reduced to ash and rubble before my eyes. Billions of lives snuffed out like candles in a hurricane, and I was powerless to stop it. "No!" Krax roared beside me, slamming his fist against the flagship's viewport. "Those maniacs, they'll destroy everything." Desperation gripped me as I searched for a solution, any way to halt the slaughter. But what could we do? Our flagship was barely holding together as it was, our weapons depleted from the battle with Zargon's forces. Then Krax turned to me, his eyes blazing with a frantic intensity. "We have to stop them, Nolan. We have to save what's left of your world." "How?" I demanded, my voice raw with anguish. "We're outgunned and outnumbered. It's suicide." "We position the flagship between your planet and the Loyalist ships," Krax said grimly. "Use ourselves as a shield. It's the only way." I stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in. He was proposing sacrificing the flagship, the most powerful vessel in the rebel fleet, to buy Earth a few more precious minutes. It was insane. It was our only hope. "Do it," I said hoarsely. "Give the order." Krax nodded, his jaw set with determination. He barked commands in his native tongue, the bridge crew leaping into action. The flagship's engines roared to life, propelling us into the path of the orbital bombardment. The Loyalist ships unleashed everything they had at us, their weapons hammering against the flagship's already weakened shields. The deck shuddered beneath my feet, warning klaxons blaring as systems overloaded and failed. "Shields at 20%, a rebel technician shouted over the chaos. "We can't take much more of this." Krax stood firm at the helm, even as explosions rocked the bridge and debris rained down around us. "Hold steady," he bellowed. "We must give the humans more time." Another volley of energy beams slammed into the flagship, sending us lurching sideways. Consoles erupted in showers of sparks, crew members thrown to the deck. I clung to a support beam, watching in numb horror as Earth continued to burn below. "Shields have failed," the technician cried. "Hull breaches on multiple decks." Krax turned to me, his expression grim. I could see the life draining from his eyes, the toll of his wounds finally catching up to him. "Nolan," he rasped, pressing something into my hand. "Take this. It contains all our intel on the Empire, their weaknesses, their secrets. Use it. Keep fighting." I looked down at the data drive in my palm, then back at Krax. "What about you? We have to get out of here." Krax shook his head, a sad smile on his reptilian face. "No, my friend, this is where my journey ends. But yours is just beginning." He shoved me towards the escape pods, even as the flagship began to disintegrate around us. "Go, save what you can of your world." Tears stinging my eyes, I stumbled into the nearest pod, a handful of other survivors piling in behind me. The hatch sealed with a hiss, then the pod blasted free of the dying flagship. We watched through the viewports as Krax's vessel, once a mighty harbinger of war, exploded in a blinding flash of light. The Loyalist ships, their grisly work complete, withdrew from Earth's orbit, leaving only devastation in their wake. As our pod hurtled towards the ravaged surface, the data drive clutched in my white-knuckled grip. I knew that nothing would ever be the same. The Norcadian invasion had changed everything, forever. Earth was broken, perhaps beyond repair. But we were still alive, and as long as we had breath in our bodies, we would keep fighting. The pod slammed into the ground, kicking up a cloud of ash and dirt. I kicked the hatch open, stumbling out into the blasted hellscape that had once been a thriving city. The air was thick with smoke, the sky choked with the debris of a shattered world. But we were alive, and we had work to do. In the weeks and months that followed, we survivors banded together, scouring the ruins for supplies and salvage. We used the information on Krax's data drive to scavenge Norcadian tech, retrofitting it to help in the monumental task of rebuilding. It was a daily struggle for survival. each small victory hard won against impossible odds. But slowly, painfully, we began to claw our way back from the brink. Scattered communities united, pooling resources and knowledge. We adapted, we persevered, we remembered the sacrifices of those who had given everything to buy us this second chance. And through it all, I held on to Crax's last words to me. We would keep fighting no matter the cost. For Earth, for humanity, for the dream of a future free from the spectre of Norcadian tyranny. It was a heavy burden, but one I would bear until my dying breath. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.